One. All right, welcome Queens to another episode. I am beyond excited for who I have with me today. Okay, I'm going to read her bio and then introduce her. So I have with me the one and only Gina Swire. And Gina Swire is a self-love mentor and manifesting queen on a global mission to help a billion women fall madly in love with themselves. After struggling with her own self-worth and image issues, Gina quit her career as a plus-size model at the height of her fame in order to embark on her own journey of transformation. Today, she travels the world, leading live workshops, hosting retreats, coaching private clients, and speaking on stages from Burning Man to Bali. Her first book, oh, so excited for this, P.S. I Love Me, is soon to be published. She inspires women everywhere to love themselves and love their lives. And if you've been hiding under a rock for the past few years and don't know who Gina is, and you'd like to have a little bit of a social media stalk before she shares her wisdom with us, all her handles on social media are Gina Swire. So without further ado, Gina, welcome officially to the podcast.
Thank you so much. That was such a warm, fuzzy welcome, Victoria.
No, I'm honoured that you're here, and I always start with 10 quick fire questions. So it's a bit of fun, and the listeners can feel your vibe. So are you ready to dive in?
Ready.
Okay, sweet or savoury?
Sweet.
Weights or cardio?
Weights.
Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Favourite sex position?
Ooh. Kind of like child's pose from behind.
I'm feeling that. There.
Feet apart, feet together.
Yeah, cool. Try that. Anyone listening, if you've not, try it. Finish this sentence. When I notice a body image trigger, I...
do this, close my eyes and go, I see that. That's cute. I see what's happening here. It's okay. We can do this together. It's all good. And I touch my body and I go, this is my arm. This is my leg. This is my tummy. This is my chest. Just to reconnect myself.
Oh, I love that. I've not heard that one before. Thank you. I'm going to try that myself. Is love a feeling or an action in your opinion?
Feeling.
If you could only take 3 things to a desert island, what would they be and why?
Vincent.
Yeah.
Avocado tree. Post-it notes and a pen. Maybe that's 4.
Like. Well, we'll allow that as 1. It's not going to happen, but it's always good to hear people's answers.
Yeah.
What does self-love feel like in 3 words?
Feels like enlightenment. It feels like unity with yourself, others, the world, the universe, the nature. And it feels messy, disgusting, gorgeous, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, I love those answers so much. If you had to learn a language, a foreign language, what would it be and why?
The first thing that came to mind was light language. So like the alien extraterrestrial language. Yeah.
Amazing. Do you know any of that yet?
Yeah, I mean, weird stuff comes through that I definitely kind of love and understand and kind of mix in with what I do, but not like a full language yet.
I'm excited for that. And last question, I'm so grateful that you said yes, but why did you say yes to being here with us today?
Oh, well, because I absolutely love you. I love your vibe. I love what you stand for. I love how connected to sisterhood you are. I love how much of a cheerleader you are. And I just love your vibe. And you're awesome. And you're cosmic.
Thank you, Gina. That was all about me. I didn't expect that, but thank you. All right, so I have so many juicy questions for you, so where to start? When I was planning this podcast, I initially wanted for you to share a little bit about your background story. However, of course, if that naturally flows to do that, I want people to go and listen to the first episode and of course the rest of your brand new podcast, PS I Love Me, because in that first episode, you share all. So my first question for you is, and it's so funny, by the way, whenever I plan for my interviews, I tune in with the energy of the person that I'm planning. And when I was tuning in for you, it was very childlike and fun and giggly. And it's so funny. I've planned for another one for a few weeks and I've like changed my energy a little bit with the questions. I just wanted to share that. So
love that.
The first question, if an alien came down from space into Earth and they hadn't heard of self-love before, how would you describe self-love to an alien?
Yeah, okay, so it's an adventure. It's a chosen way of life. It's scrumptious. It's everything. Like I said before, it's messy. It's being with yourself in every state. Self-love is not just all about love. It's about self-misery, self-pity, self-disgust. All of that is a part of self-love. It's definitely a choice and a journey in every moment, in every thought. So in every second of every moment, of every decision, of every thought, of everything, I believe there's like a million different paths you can take, and self-love is the highest frequency of them all.
I love that. Can you give us a real life example of what that means?
Yeah. Okay. So pre-self-love awakening for me, I was about 30 when I got these codes, and pre that, things would happen to me, in inverted commas. Like I was a plus size model, so I would go to my castings, for example, and on the way I had an awareness about energy, and I knew that if I felt good, I was likely to get the job. And if I felt shit, I was likely to not get it. I was likely to repel it because I was very into the law of attraction. So I had an awareness around that. But on the train on the way to a casting, I would be like, right, I have to feel good or I'm not going to get the job. Come on, Gina, you have to feel good. Like it was this like mean girl, inner critic, kind of trying to cover up what was really there. And in some ways, it was the step before self-love. It was still an awareness. But what it's like now is, if I was on the way to that casting now, which I don't really do that anymore, but if I was, and I was feeling insecure, I was feeling fat, I was feeling gross, I was feeling stuck, I was feeling low vibe, I would just be with that. And I would just actually like mother myself and be like, you know what? That's the best you've got today. And you're all good. Let me be with you with that. Let me love you through that. Let me just hold you in that. And it's okay. We all have that. Think about how many people in this world are feeling exactly the same as you right now. Oh my God, the puppy, Barney. The puppy just grabbed the curtain. Okay. You're in the podcast. And yeah, it would be this very gentle, kind of funny, this voice would almost like hug me and be like, oh, come on. You know, it's not like it's the most motherly, loving, cocooned in a duvet kind of love ever. There's nothing harsh about it. There's some sarcasm and some jokes and laughing together and cute, but it's very, you know, Nothing to change, nothing to do, doing your best, you're all good. So it's a very motherly voice for me, self-love.
Wow. I think that's so powerful that you've actually shared, because you was aware before you had all the self-love codes downloaded for you. But, and I've noticed this in myself the past few years, I used to just try and positive mindset myself through stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of abandoning yourself at the same time. It's just like false toxic positivity, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it's actually quite unhelpful. It's a little bit like sticking an affirmation on it, you know, when people say, I love my body, but actually they hate their body, or they don't feel fully in love with their body. And so just sticking that affirmation on it is pretty useless, because it's the subconscious mind that is like, no, you don't, and you have an inner conflict, and that frazzles people. It frazzles me. I'm like, well, which way around is it, you know? So actually just being with what's there and accepting what's there is just so, it just cuts through everything. And then once you've been with that and you've felt the feelings and you've allowed it, then you get to choose something else if it feels right, and it's much less stressful.
Yeah, I love that so much.
Yeah.
Would you say that self-discipline was a form of self-love?
Ooh, it's a good question. You know, I see life like a big pendulum swinging along. And, you know, at one time I thought discipline was the way. I used to think, if I discipline myself to go to the gym and eat the salad and do my positivity and do my yoga, and if I'm doing all this good positive shit, then I'm winning. And that's how I succeed. And that's how I live life. And then I went completely the opposite way. And it's not, none of this is wrong. So like I say, this pendulum is actually the path. Then I went the complete opposite way, and I was like, oh my God, I don't want to do any of that. That is not the way. Just being is the way. Like intuiting, listening to what feels good. And I changed it to blissipline. Discipline to blissipline. Like, what do I want to do today? Do I want to eat a cake? Well, that can be self-love. Do I want to lounge on the floor in my pajamas? Well, that can be self-love. Do I want to go to the gym? That can also be, you know, it's not that you can't do any of it, but you only do what you want. And it's funny because for quite a long time I was in this blissipline mode. And sometimes I would edge on the side of lazy. You know, I'd be doing hardly anything. And I was like, self-love. And then, you know, then the pendulum comes back and it's like, oh no, it actually feels better for me if I'm going to do cardio 3 times a week, or if I'm, you know, being disciplined to eat a certain amount of greens per day or whatever. Like that's the pendulum swinging in the middle. And right now, believe it or not, I am going more towards discipline again. So I'm like pushing through actually when I'm like, I don't want to go to the gym today. And I'm like, you know what? Self-love today is pushing through that and is doing that anyway. So yeah, I believe this is the path, and there's no right or wrong. And it's that fine line. And so one little tip for anyone listening, if you know, so I'll give this example. If you get a little bit sick, like if you get a cold or something, are you the kind of person that's like, I'm not leaving the house, I'm not going to the gym, I'm not doing this, I'm just going to rest fully? Or are you the other way where you're like, no, I'm going to sweat it out, I'm going for it, I'm going to carry on regardless, I'm going to push past it? So whichever side you're on, sometimes the work is just crossing over to the other side a little bit. So it's kind of a world of opposites.
Yeah, I love that answer, because there's no right or wrong. And as humans, we like to be told a tick box, yes or no, this is right, this is wrong. But I explain to my clients about the gym as an example. When they wake up for their early alarm, only they really know it deep inside whether they need to give themselves a bit of tough love, as in, come on girl, get your ass out of bed, like you'll feel better after, or whether your body's like, I literally need to rest. Only you will know that. So blissipline, I love that so much, is the way forward.
Yeah. And also with my best friend, who I know you know, Kim Mella, we naturally are the opposite. So if Kim's poorly or if she's tired, she'll want to go to the gym. She'll want to go for a walk. She'll want to like drink her green shots and all the things. If I'm tired or whatever, I'll be like, I need to completely rest. I need to do nothing, you know. So we actually do well as friends because I get to be inspired by her and she gets to be inspired by me, and we get to live that middle road. So get yourself a bestie with the opposite.
Balance. My partner's the opposite to me in a good way, because he grounds me. I'm very sporadic. I'm like doing all the things like, and I'm just so unpredictable even to myself, which I love about myself. And he's like, okay, let's just, it's not a no, it's not a yes, let's just like ground ourselves, and then kind of a masculine energy vibe to it. But I need that to complement how I show up in the world. So I love that.
Same, but it's so annoying. It's so annoying. But
it's so annoying. He questions everything.
Yeah, Vincent and I had this conversation last night, because at the moment we're kind of homeless, which I love being homeless. Like I love just Airbnb for a week or staying with friends or going on holiday or going on a road trip. And Vincent's like, I need to plan all of this in advance. I need to know, especially the dates. And I'm like, well, let's just leave it all open. And it's like, look at our little masculine, feminine polarity playing out here. Isn't it beautifully annoying?
I love that. Masculine, feminine, all to, like Sophia LePage, who I know you know as well.
Yeah.
I was in her program and she explained it beautifully, that the feminine, the masculine is the rock, and then the feminine is this dancing around energy, and they just contrast so beautifully. If we're all in our healthy, I mean, we're only human and we're going to be back and forth a little bit, but if we can work on ourselves and just meet in the middle and communicate is the key.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
yeah. And accept them and accept yourself, because it can become that I can then in the past might have judged, oh, well, why am I being so flighty? Maybe I should be a bit more organized. But if you can kind of own it and accept yourself, but also accept them and enjoy the beauty of it, you know, like even kind of get off on the annoying things used to piss me off so much. And I would like avoid annoying things. But now I'm like, I'm annoyed. Like, yeah,
I'm annoyed.
Yeah.
No, I love that. That is like free. That's pure freedom, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And this question that I have next is very deep and very open, but I'm really curious. It came through for me to ask you, what is happiness?
Wow. The first thing that came through to me there is health on all levels. And so this isn't just the typical look at health, but you know, like a healthy mind, like I just explained, self-love to me is health, is a healthy way of being able to be with all of the things and find the beauty in it, find the misery in it, like get off on the misery of it sometimes or whatever. And also like physically in your body, being healthy and flexible and mobile and energetic. I really believe that life belongs to the energetic in terms of physical energy and like spiritual energy. Yeah, and also just health for me as well. Like this weekend I've been to a rave. I don't know if you saw it on my social media. It's been a very long time. This is something of my past. You know, I used to be a major party animal, always like going to the best DJs and festivals and all of those things. And I used to absolutely love it. And again, the pendulum swung the other way and I went all yogi and ceremonies and sister circles and, you know, alcohol free and drug free and everything free, vegan. And actually like now health to me is going to the occasional rave. You know, that was the biggest amount of nourishment because it's exactly what I wanted. It's exactly what I needed. And just saying yes to all the crazy things. And I did some crazy things this weekend and, you know, things that aren't healthy in inverted commas, but so nourishing in a way.
Mm.
So yeah, happiness to me is a desire fueled life. And, you know, Sophia talks about this beautifully, just owning your desire, following your desire, like asking for what you want, all these things, they play together. And I believe that is happiness.
I love that. I'm receiving that. And also, it's so interesting that I feel like I want to bring up, you use the word healthy in the quotes and then the word nourishment. So as you know, I work specifically with women with like eating disorder problems. And when we're talking about food language, and of course, we're dropping the food labels of good or bad. And I know you have a body harmony course that I'm guessing there's similar food language in there. We swap the word healthy for nourishing, because even healthy can have a little bit of that's why you, I guess, did the air quotes, like whatever's nourishing for you in each moment. Like you said earlier, that could be a cake or sharing a tub of ice cream with a girlfriend when you're having a movie night.
Yeah.
It depends on the moment. There's no right or wrong. And the nourishment there, that word is key.
Yeah. And I remember years ago when I went from kind of my inverted commas again, we're going to be doing this a lot, the unhealthy lifestyle to the healthy lifestyle. So just to paint a picture of that, I went from flying around the world, modeling nonstop, getting up at like 4 a.m. to catch a flight, to go to the studio, to kind of not really eat the right foods and, you know, not even drink any water, and then go straight out to the club afterwards, go out all night, and then probably straight into the studio the next day. And that was my life. And then the occasional yoga session in the middle. And then I completely switched that for going vegan, only eating organic food, most of it homegrown, cooking everything from scratch, you know, no gluten, no sugar, no wheat, no nothing. And, you know, and going to the gym twice a day. And I went the complete opposite way, which I'd never done before. And that felt really nourishing at that point. But it did come with that little undercurrent of shit. If I stop any of this, or if I break it even a tiny bit, I'm going back there. You know, it came from a place of fear. And then, yeah, finding that middle ground. And that was when I moved to Bali, and I kind of dropped the vegan tag, and I was still mostly eating plant-based. But I remember a friend invited me out to this place called Room for Desserts, and it's a Michelin star dessert and cocktail place. So I was a bit like, what am I going to do? But I went and I just had one dessert and one cocktail, and we had the most amazing conversations, and we were there for like 5 hours. And, you know, previously sugar and gluten and butter and alcohol and sugar syrup in your thing, you know, all these things were so unhealthy, but that event was so healthy. And as you say, nourishing, that I really got it in that moment. I was like, it's not about the thing. It's about how you do the thing and then what you do after with it. Because I'd had such a nourishing experience with the conversation and the place and the high quality of things and just the beauty of how it was presented and the gorgeous plates and, you know, all this is such a sensory nourishment. And after that, for the first time, really, I enjoyed it so much. I was so grateful for the experience, and I just reveled in the bliss of it, that, you know, my digestion works really well and everything was perfect. So previously, if I'd have done that, I'd have been like, now I've got to go to the gym, and probably like, you know, tensed up and stressed out and ruined my digestion. So I just really got it in that moment. So I'm really glad you brought that in.
Yeah, the stress of eating the cake is worse for you than eating the actual cake.
Yeah.
I'll always say that.
Because it was never the cake's fault. It was never the burger's fault. You know, I know loads of healthy, nourished, gorgeous people who eat loads of stuff, but they don't have an issue with food. Like my younger sister is the prime example. Like, she doesn't have a negatively emotional connection with food. She doesn't overeat, but she eats all kinds of things, and she naturally picks healthy things. She naturally likes exercise. She just doesn't have those stories present that I've always had. So it's such a gift just observing her just do whatever she wants. And she's, you know, super fit and healthy and gorgeous. And I'm like, used to think, how the hell does she do that? But now I realize she's just not got that stressful emotional connection with it.
We was all born that way, and she's not had to unlearn anything. She's kept what she was born with in that context around food. I always say to my clients, I don't care what you eat, I care about how you feel about what you eat. It's not about the food, it's how you feel towards your behavior. It doesn't even have to be about food. It's actually never about the food. You know that as well. It's deeper.
Yeah, it is. It was never about the food. I remember the first time I heard that phrase and I was like, who has written that? It's a load of crap. Obviously it is. But then I'm like, oh yeah, they were right. It was never about the food.
I had that same vibe. I was angry because I'd been sat there, you know, binging my face off with packets around me, hiding it all and being like, of course it's about the food. Like and it's not about the food. Oh yeah, I've got that now.
Oh yeah. You know what I'm doing at the moment? I've got a money coach. So it's something I've only just started with it, but one of my other mentors had suggested it. And so last night I was filling in the initial forms and there's like a bazillion questions all about like your money story and first memories of money. And I was filling it all in and I had such an interesting realization, which was that a lot of my early years of money was all linked to the fact that I felt I wasn't allowed to eat what I wanted at home. You know, I was always kind of told like, don't have too much of that, or you've had enough now, or like, no, you can't have that because that's bad, or you can have this, you can have as much as you want as that, but you can't have that, you can only have a little bit of that, you know, like a lot of rules that children are given. And part of my want for money, because when I was a teenager I started to enterprise. So I remember I made these little leaflets and posted them to everyone on my road saying I had a babysitting company. And then when the jobs came in, I would kind of outsource them to my friends and take like a little commission.
That's sick.
I know. And so, but my reason for doing that was so that I had my own money so I could buy the food I wanted, but in secret. So I was like, oh, wow. From learning about my money story and my money relationship, I've just learned a whole new angle of this food, money, self relationship. And I was just like, wow, so cool. And no wonder it makes so much sense.
Yeah, because that was acting from not enoughness because of the rules that you had. I mean, I'm not here to parent anyone's child, but not enough, acting from fear, like needing to hide it and secretly get it. That makes so much sense.
Yeah, exactly. And not that, you know, my mum was right. Like, you know, you shouldn't, that is good to have. You can have as much as you want as this, but have a little of that. But to me, it felt like I can't have what I want. Or also, I wasn't necessarily taught to listen to my body. You know, I was taught to listen to the rules and I didn't like the rules. I wanted freedom. And so, yeah, my whole quest with money at first was around freedom. And even to the point of when I was 16, I convinced my dad to get me a scooter, you know, like a moped, so that the key point, like the first things I did was go to different food places. They were normally like naughty ones, like M&M, like McDonald's. But I would keep it a secret, but I needed the money to do it and I needed the freedom. So money, food and freedom all link heavily for me.
Wow.
Oh my God, I've not even started this course yet and I'm like mind blown.
Is it Jenna Black's course, out of curiosity?
No, it's not. It's it's this cool Indian woman that someone connected me with. I've never met her. I've not even spoke to her. I just like, yep, signed up, doing it.
Wow. Oh, I love that. I'm excited for you to go through.
Yeah.
I would love to talk now about the V word, and I don't mean vagina or Vincent, although he is involved in the question a little bit. I'm talking vulnerability. So
Ooh.
I'm in your community. I've been through your program. I've learned so much from you, and I'm still active in there looking at what you share. And you've recently shared a big vulnerable share with us. And my question to you is, what was blocking you from sharing it sooner? And then why did you decide to share it with us in the end?
Do you mean the baby thing? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Good question. So this has been a whole process and a journey. So a little bit of backstory. When I was 8, my dad got his secretary pregnant and left us for her and the baby. And in that, my mum obviously was incredibly hurt. I, on some level, thought it was my fault because I wasn't good enough. And so he replaced us with someone else. And yeah, there was a lot of stuff in the family, like my nana kind of disowned my dad and became my mum's mum. And my nana kind of looked after us financially a bit as well, because my dad pulled out of that. Not in all the way, just to be really clear, but yeah, we struggled. We went from kind of having quite a very privileged life and having a gorgeous house and going on holidays to none of that and struggling. And so it's really shaped me. It's definitely made me who I am. It's definitely made me resilient and compassionate and all these things that I've received from that gift that was also really hard. Yeah, and because I am a master manifester, my subconscious decided on some level to replay that in my adult life. And so I manifested a man, Vincent. I've actually known him for 15 years, but we've been together for 1. It was our anniversary yesterday.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. It is a happy anniversary because we've both got no idea how we managed to get through the year. But basically, a year ago, long story there short, we finally, after 15 years, got properly together. And instantly we were in love because we realized that we'd been avoiding this massive love that we had, and we finally got together. And so he came to Ibiza, where I was at the time, and we just went so deep into it. It was amazing. Haven't been in love for a few years, so not with another person. And so, yeah, it was just amazing. And I was like, wow. And then about a month later, we found out that his ex, we'll call it, but a woman that he was kind of living with as friends, but with benefits in the lockdown, was pregnant. And he didn't tell me as soon as he knew. He kind of avoided it. He was trying to figure out what to do. And then when I did find out, I was incredibly hurt, firstly, because he'd lied, and secondly, because this was happening. And I was just like, this does not feel like my life. And so we broke it off. And then, yeah, we did the 6-step process, which I've shared a lot, but I can share it with you again. It's this process to consciously end a relationship. And when we did that, I realized that, yeah, there's just so much more to this. And I had this sense that, when these things happen for us, that it's happening for a reason and we can avoid it as much as we want. But that didn't feel right on this occasion, because I felt if I did avoid it, I would end up with another partner with a different face doing kind of a different angle of the same shit. And I really felt like it's time to go through it. And so also I did a family constellation healing session with my mentor, who is just a life angel to me. And she helped me see that Vincent is my dad, and this baby is my little sister, and I am his other daughter, and the woman is my mum, and like all these things. And I was just like, wow, mind blown. Yeah, so we did this whole process, and I knew I knew I was staying in it. So the whole year, I knew I was staying in this relationship, even though on paper we were in hell. Like, we were living a trigger fest. I was so hurt. I wanted to like punish him, but then I didn't want to punish him because I wanted him to feel good, because he felt so bad and he wanted to be, so it was very complicated. We were in Bali. We were having all kinds of couples coaching. We both had a mentor. We had all our friends who were coaches helping us, holding space for us. And it was so, so hard. And just the break of the trust as well. And so there was many times when I really wanted to say something, and I did show up and say, I am having a really hard freaking time right now. I don't want to go into the details of it, but I don't even know how I'm managing. I feel like I'm having a breakdown. So I kind of shared cryptically. And the reason at the time that I didn't fully go there was, one, because I felt shame from my family, even though they weren't saying that. I felt like people were thinking, what the fuck is she doing? Why is she doing this? But underneath it, I felt this deeper reason of like my own evolution and healing. But I also felt that most people wouldn't get that and would put on me their projection of, you need to leave this. This is not good for you. So yeah, there was a bit of fear. And also, as a coach, I was holding space for so many people. And there was a lot of times in that year where I didn't have it to give. Like, I wasn't going to give from an empty cup, and I just didn't have it to give. So there was quite a few times when I was, taking a break from a program, and people are so understanding of these things. But yeah, I just didn't want to fully go there. And also, I've never met the woman who was having the baby. Mm-hmm. And also, we didn't know if it was his. Oh. So I was manifesting an outcome that was my reality of that it turns out it's not his, it's another man's, and we're kind of get away with this scot-free, and it's just been a healing process. Yeah, so I didn't want to give any weight to the other option, which now in hindsight, I realize that was such a massive energy leak, because I didn't know the truth. And I was leaking energy to a manifestation that I thought was better for us. And actually, that is the biggest waste of energy ever. Actually, just being with what's there is much more useful. So when it came to it, once the baby was born and we found out it was his, then I knew the truth. And yeah, it set me free, because my family knew all about it. I'd told them all my reasons, and I'd really got clear with them. I'd got clear with myself. I'd kind of put that whole energy leak to rest. And then I set myself free and I shared it. And so when I actually shared it that day, I was on drugs. I was completely high on life. And since then, Vincent and I have been in harmony.
Wow.
So it's been nuts and such a massive learning curve. And so, yeah, I do think there's a place to share and a place to not. And when I've reflected on that, I tried to show up as authentically as I could without talking about anyone else's business. So yeah, it was a detailed thing,
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with such an open, loving heart, and it's always received in the same way as you give it. What have you learned about yourself? And I've been following your journey, your podcasts are on repeat, and I understand all the couples coaching you and Vincent have been through. What would you say the biggest thing you've learned about yourself through all of that?
That I'm fucked up. No, that everyone is. And there's no shame in that. We've all got our quirks and kinks and things going on. And when you're with someone, Vincent and I just absolutely triggered the hell out of each other. and it was the fastest learning curve known to woman, you know, like it was like, woof, that's what you're learning. So yeah, I learned so much. I called that in, you know, I was calling in a partnership where we can both grow exponentially. And we really have. I'm so proud of Vincent. Like, he has done like 10 years of healing in 1 year, and he's had to, you know, and I've had to. And also, I did have a spiritual ego of, I know this, I'm a coach, I've been in this work for way longer than you, this is on you. And in past relationships, I had blamed the other person, or like, I'd not like outwardly, but I definitely had kind of put it on them that they'd not been doing their inner work. But actually, being in this relationship, I had to really be like, okay, there's a lot more to do here. I'm going to do it, you know. So acceptance, willingness, all of that, it's been massive.
You've just taken like 100% responsibility for your part in all of it. And that is, I know we say it in the personal development word all the time, but that is key to everything, isn't it? And I just want to acknowledge you for that so openly. And growing so much together. I mean, I've seen it through just following your journey, you know, from what you share and listen to your podcast, and Daddy Vincent in the house. I listened to that episode, which is so Daddy. Yeah. So I'm just excited to see where you both go in terms of personal relationship growth as the future unravels before you.
Yeah, it's such, I think it's been like 2 or 3 months now since I shared that, and that had so much weight behind it. Like, that whole situation had so much charge. Even like the name of that woman coming in to our conversation, or anything about the situation, I would like, vroom, like, it would just come over me, this absolutely scary like amount of energy and pain and all the things. And it's all linked to what happened when I was a child. And because I was a child, I never got to process it. And then my dad died. So even in my more conscious, you know, in my 30s, I haven't been able to have that conversation. But through what's happened with us and with Vincent, I've had all of those conversations with my dad, but with Vincent. And Vincent,
wow,
yeah, and it's so cool, like how it's healed my whole family as well. It's not just me. I've been having everything I've been learning in my couples coaching, I've been relating back to my mum, to my nana, to my brother, and they're just like, oh my God, I'd never thought of it that way. Oh my God. Oh, wow. Do you think, could that be? Oh, wow. And all these realizations that I've had have healed the whole family. So yeah, I always say when one person gets a coach, everyone around them gets to benefit. And not just from the vibration, but from the conversations, from the way you show up, from the way you share.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, you either get what you want or get what you need, and you needed that. Wow. That's incredible.
And now I realize that this has played out in every relationship I've ever had, but I've never gone there, or I've never had the tools to, or the willingness. So I've just pushed it away. So I always felt very unsatisfied or unsatiated, or just like there was something wrong with me or something wrong with them more so. And now I'm realizing that I'm going to be able to have like a healthy relationship now I've seen all of this, even though it's been the deepest, most painful excavation ever, and miserable, like so miserable. Yeah.
Wow. I've got to choose wisely. I think we've got time for one more question before you share your exciting news. And it kind of leads nicely on, of course, divinely timed. I believe that we attract what we believe about ourselves, and everybody is a mirror for us. Can you speak to that and give your version of what that means? Because again, similar to the it's not about the food, when I first heard that, probably from you actually a few years ago, everyone's a mirror, I'll be like, I don't get it. How?
Yeah. Well, a couple of examples. When I was 20, I manifested or attracted a situation where I was in a pub in England, and I kind of was having a bit of a flirt thing with this guy who was much older than me, like owned the nightclub, and everyone thought it was really cool. Probably shouldn't say that because he may be listening. Who knows? Anyway, and at a certain point, he stood up and was like, "Oh, you know, Gina, if you were a size 10, I'd date you." And I just like kind of giggled it off and then went to the bathroom and just cried my eyes out and felt so unworthy and so disgusting and so wrong and fat and gross. And that is what I believed about myself. I believe that, not necessarily like outwardly, like consciously, because I thought I was pretty and I thought it was, but subconsciously, all those things are what I believed. And I attracted that situation. And at the time, I just thought, that's so mean. He's so horrible. He's been horrible to me. Why? The world's so mean, you know? And that's what I believed. But actually, that mirror was just showing me what was that really there, because I didn't know that about myself. You know, I thought, no, I'm beautiful, I'm this, but really that is what I believed underneath. So that's one example of a mirror. So fast forward to after 30, getting the self-love codes and just genuinely dropping into this new state with my body. And it wasn't initially, oh my God, I just love my body, I love everything about it. It wasn't that. It was, this is my body, warts and all, lumps and bumps and all, size, everything, blotches, you know, everything. And it's not really ever going to change that much. And I accept it exactly as it is. And if anyone doesn't accept it, that's just a reflection of them. I'm not interested in hearing it. I just repel those people. Like even if someone came over and said something a bit mean, I'd just smile at them because I don't believe it. It's not true for me. It's not my reality. But since then, nobody ever says any of that. People literally come over to me in the street or in the airport or wherever and just say, wow, you radiate, you rock the outfit. Like, you shine a different color to other people. Like, what is your secret? And can I talk to you? And that is a reflection. That is a mirror of how I feel about myself right now. So yeah, whatever is in front of you is literally just mirroring something back. Caveat.
I love these. Continue.
Caveat. There's always a caveat. And I do believe that we live in a world of you know, the differences of opinions actually make a really well-rounded person. So I can't think of the word. What's the word when you have the two, like not a conundrum,
like the opposites of opinions,
like conflicts.
Conflict.
Conflicting advice is actually a good way, because actually it's all the same. These pendulums, everything, like really either end of that is kind of the same. It's coming from the same place. So it's this middle road. But anyway, I forgot what I was going to say now about this. Oh yeah, the caveat.
Yeah.
So the caveat is that I see with my single friends, occasionally they will manifest or attract a douchebag. They're like a complete and utter fool. And something crazy will happen and they're like, what is this about myself that is attracting this person? I actually believe sometimes you just meet a douchebag and that's that, you know? So I think as we go into this personal development world, as we go into taking responsibility for things, we can also take too much responsibility and, you know, try to find a meaning within ourselves of everything. And that also is not really self-love. You know, sometimes you just have to bat them off and carry on. Now, if this is a repeating thing, then that's probably something to look at. But occasionally you just do meet a fool.
Yeah. I love you brought that up, because we can always learn from the fool, and it also just reminds us of what we don't want as well. So we can just pivot to what we do want.
Exactly.
And one thing to add to that, what you've shared, and this has come from you, and I use this with my clients all the time, in the realm of body image, you shared one time about having a wound or a cut, like a physical cut on your arm or whatever, and that's a core wound within, that you don't feel happy in your own skin. And if someone was to comment about your body or your size in a negative way, it's like rubbing salt in the wound. It really stings. But when you've healed that wound, and then you've got scar tissue, which is actually even stronger than normal skin, if someone was to negatively comment, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even touch you anymore. And that was such a clear analogy for me to understand, and then to learn, and then to be like, okay, I'm going to build my scar around this, not to protect me from the world, but just to heal myself and just love myself. And now I'm here. Of course, it never ends.
Yeah.
It's just like indescribable. The peace and the joy and the freedom of just like having your own back is just amazing. So thank you for giving me that ages ago.
I love that. I love that. I forgot about that. And also, just to go like one little step deeper, it seems we're talking about wounds and scars. So when you do have a scar, say you've got a big slash across your chest and it's all healed up, and you've got a purple scar with like stitches around it, if someone comes to you with an open wound, the same as you've got, which if they're saying you're gross, then you know they think they're gross, and on some level, and you see that open wound on them, you're not going to be like mad at them or whatever, because you've got that big scar and you know they're going to get one of those. You just have compassion for them. You're just like, yeah, you're in the healing process. So it's like, when you've got the scar, it can be like it's like aggravating when someone kind of tries to poke at it, but you do have that deep compassion. Yeah.
Just literally giving love to everything and everybody, and understanding, even if we don't agree or like with their perspective, just send them love. Like, it's all about the love, isn't it? Self-love, infinite love, which is the same thing.
It is. And another part of self-love is, and Vincent and I really practice this, when he does some stupid shit and it pisses me off, like, there's one way is just like, I love you, you know, just sending all the love. And then this other thing is like being in your expression. Like, if he pisses me off, sometimes I just like, I literally go like this and he does it back. It's like this teenager going, and we do that to each other, and we like express our like teenager annoyed expression at each other, and it makes us laugh our heads off, and it actually cuts through it all quicker than just being like, you're being a dick, but I love you, I'm just gonna leave it there, because that can feel a little bit like I'm swallowing it. And anytime I swallow it, that's when the binge eat feeling comes, you know. It's like, but when I actually express it like my naughty little teenager, it just makes us laugh our heads off and release it. I
love that. Expressing it in the moment, don't allow it to fester and then build up, and then all of a sudden be like, this, and then they're like, whoa, what, when, how, when? I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Gina, please tell us about your book, your podcast, how people can work with you, all of the things.
Yeah, thank you so much. So my podcast, P.S. I Love Me, I think we're on episode 10, so it's brand new, full of juicy, and somebody this morning just said, I love it. It's a little bit naughty and a little bit edgy, and you're talking about things that I normally avoid, but it's super fun. So that's P.S. I Love Me. You can find it on all podcast channels. My book, it's the same name, P.S. I Love Me, is soon to be released. I've been saying that for 2 years. It's out of my hands and into the hands of Mama Divine. And yeah, I don't have an exact date for it, but it is on its way to a bookshop near you, and I'll let you know exactly when it comes out. And I obviously, on some level, absolutely love waiting. I love being humiliated. I love telling people it's going to be out in summer, and then 3 months later it's still not out, and then 6 months later the publisher pulls out, and then 3 months later something else. So I'm just accepting that and being with the misery of it, you know, practicing what I preach. So the book is soon to be coming out, and you can find me anywhere at Gina Swire, ginaswire.com, and Gina Swire on Instagram. And I'd love to hear from your listeners.
Yay! And are you accepting one-to-one clients? I know you have an amazing program, which I've been through and still in. I will link everything below, but do you just want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. So my 12-step self-love transformation is the program that your lovely self has been in, and hundreds of other women. It's a real step-by-step process. There's loads of juice in it. And it's something, it's like you join it once, but you stay in the community. So it's the gift that keeps on giving. At the moment, one-to-one is full. I tend to mostly accept women who've done the 12 steps before, because that is most of the heavy lifting done. And then, you know, from there we can go deep, deep, deep. But if they are interested in one-to-one, they're very welcome to reach out. I have a wait list, and I have all different types of groups for body harmony, self-love luxury, all different things, money mindset, everything is covered.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Gina. This episode is being, well, when they're listening to this, it will already be released next Thursday. So
fabulous.
We'll keep posted on that. And it's been an absolute honor, pleasure. Time has flew. Of course, we've collapsed time. That's what we've just done. And thank you for your wisdom and your time. And I just love you so much and what you do.
Oh, I love you so much. This has been such a joy, and your questions were amazing, and your cosmic background. And yeah, your understanding of all this stuff and this subject is so deep and so amazing to jam with, that I feel like we took it to the next level. So thank you for being so awesome. And I've got to highlight like how much of an amazing woman's woman and cheerleader you are. You are just amazing and sensational. So I'm so lucky to have you in my life.
Thank you, Gina. When you win, I win. When I win, you win. And it took a long time for me to get there because of the fear of, oh, what if? But I'm just in surrender and cheerleading. And thank you for acknowledging that, because that actually I needed to hear that. So thank you, and I love you. And I will be speaking to you soon, I'm very sure. Thank you, beautiful. Mwah. Speak soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.